Welcome, everyone, to Life of Giants, and I'll tell you this much, this too shall pass. I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel, dressed like Mr. Dressup's evil twin, and with me, as always, is Mr. Cole Clayton. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. I grabbed a glass of water for the show, and it's already gone. This passed very quickly too.
What's up, Surge? In the comments, my car is buried in snow. Okay, so I heard you
Oh, you're
guys
in Middle Ohio then.
I heard you guys got dumped on.
Not here in Cleveland. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of snow, but not like
Yeah.
what they're
Hi, Victoria.
experiencing in Middle Ohio. Middle Ohio is like,
Buried.
uh, yeah, it's a winter wasteland.
Yeah.
It's just cold here. It's just stupid cold.
Okay, so I'm having the same thing where like I'm going outside, there's no snow anywhere. It's all gone.
We have like 6 or 8 inches here.
Not me. We have nothing. And then on top of that, it is ridiculously cold. So like this morning, it was -7 or 8, but it because of the wind, it felt like -17, which is one degree Fahrenheit.
Y'all just do that to make y'all's winter sound worse. It's not negative. What is it? What is -6? What is that, like 20 degrees?
I will tell you.
It was 25 at the warmest today. At the warmest point.
25 at the warmest point. Jesus Christ, that sucks.
Yeah. It's been low 20s since Christmas, pretty much. Christmas was the last warm day we got, which kind of sucks because like you always want a white Christmas, and no other fucking day would be white. Would be the ideal, you know.
Victoria's like, don't jinx it. It's already been done. LA is warm with a chance of nuclear. See, and also a chance of like wieners in your mouth, right? So like also
the nuclear part.
Like, I mean, yeah, I'm under a blanket in my room and I feel like I'm outside, bro. So okay. So I've been wearing this little sweater on when I come online the last couple of days because underneath I'm wearing all heat tech, which I'm like, it's like long sleeve stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I can't. It's essentially I'm wearing like long johns, like you know the ones where the butt flap opens up like that, except it's two pieces because I'm a grown
Why
ass
does
man.
that butt flap open up? You know?
It for the pooping.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. So today I've told you this. So we got a new toilet.
I'm about to get 2 new toilets myself. Actually, ironically, the apartment is making me get new toilets.
That's
Like
fair.
I don't have to do anything, but they're coming in my house without permission.
That's not bad. Yeah, well, that is how that works. But so the toilet that we got for Victoria and I in our ensuite is it's got a washlet. So it washes and dries your butthole. Okay. And I'll tell you, it's like central air. You can't go back to not having central air. And Victoria was in the bathroom, so I used a different bathroom. And like the toilet seat wasn't even heated. And I was like, nothing's washing my butthole for me. And I was like, man, this is I don't know what I can do about this. This is an issue. But yeah, no, that's fair. So everyone, today we are talking about a quote so there's a weird history with this quote because it is in the Bible. It is in all sorts of literature. It's originally attributed to first time it's mentioned is by, let me just pull it up here, was a Persian poet in like the 13th century. But it's also attributed to Solomon, where a sultan asked Solomon for a signet motto, like for his ring.
How is it in the Bible if it was attributed fucking 1,300 years later?
I'm trying to explain it. If you wait 3 seconds, you fucking dunce. Okay.
So I've never done that.
This waiting, never. Not interrupting, also never. Yeah, that should hold good for adversity or prosperity. And Solomon gave him, this also shall pass away. But as I said, it is everywhere throughout history. Skate, we are never going back to a regular Toto for life. Yeah, no, it's 100%. You can't go back. I'll tell you that straight up. It's just not how things work. What's up, Skater Die? Where are we from? I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and he is from Ohio.
From Cleveland. I'm not from Ohio. Tired of fucking explaining this. It's not the same thing.
He makes it sound like Cleveland's a real place. It's not a real place.
It's the only real place in Ohio.
It's Midwest Narnia is where he lives.
It's
okay,
not though. It's not even the Midwest.
Definitely.
It's like it's more like like a shittier Chicago, or not shittier. Chicago's pretty shitty. It's like
Chicago's pretty shitty.
It's a less fantasized version of Chicago.
It's Wish.com Narnia. It's Wish.com Narnia is what it is. Just to be clear.
It's too good to be Detroit. It's too not good to be Chicago.
Oh, a lot of places are too good to be Detroit. I remember people were like, yeah, we're going to Detroit for shopping on Boxing Day. Like, this is way back in the day when you couldn't do things online. And I was like, where are you going? They're like, Detroit. And I'm like, to die? And they're like, no, man, everything's cheap there. I'm like, there's a reason. There's a reason why it's real cheap there. That's not. And they were black guys, though. So they were like, we'd have less to worry about. I'm like, that's fair. I'm big and I cause fights. So that's not, I can't go to places like that. That's fair. But yeah, no, it's, so you said it's really cold, though. You guys have snow on the ground, but it is not currently snowing. But middle Ohio,
it could be colder. It's not in the teens yet, but like I don't know. I'm kind of tired of it.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Come on, it's January. We're already like, oh, we had a nice white Christmas. That's nice. That's nice.
You didn't even get a white Christmas. That's the fucked up part about it. Really? The next day, it started this shit, which is just snow 4 inches. It's in the low 20s and gray and just that all the way through.
Yeah, I call
it's been 2 straight weeks of this shit, and I look on my weather app today, and it's at least another 10 days of this shit. Like it's just because it stops at 10 days. It doesn't go further than that.
I feel like that's by design. Like they're like, we're not going to predict anything because let's be honest, they're never right unless it's bad news.
Not in Cleveland, that's for sure. Because we have lake effect weather. Do you have lake effect weather? You're on the north of the lake, so you don't get it as much, do you?
Every lake produces lake effect weather. That's how it's not where the lake is.
I just thought it always came south. I don't know. This is the only lake I've ever really dealt with. Major like.
I'll tell you why. That's just God punishing the U.S. Canada is full of nice people, so he's like, no, send it southwards.
Oh yeah, Justin Trudeau is a nice person.
I'm gonna put on an extra pair of pants, bro. Listen. Now that I've lost weight, Victoria has explained how layering works. Originally, she only explained how clothes that fit worked. So now,
you needed that part explained.
A little bit. There were times.
Awesome. You learned so much.
Oh, listen, I'm getting educated daily.
When I wasn't married, but I was with my baby mama for 7 years, and she showed me how to wash my face.
Gross. Was it with sandpaper?
I was washing my face, but like she was like, "Here, use this what is it? A giant cotton." I have since stopped using it. What is it called? The loofah? Not the loofah, but the other one. A scrubby, I guess. The one that's fluffy. It looks like a dress. It looks like somebody took pieces of somebody's dress and then made it. They're like, here, you wash your face with this.
That's a loofah. So 2 pairs of pants. This is the weather for it. Victoria says you are on to the next level of fashion Padawan. Number 1. Okay, so here I have a story about this. Was that when Victoria and I just started dating? It was like roughly a little over a year after I'd split with my ex-wife. And
damn, you got right to it.
Oh yeah, no, immediately. And maybe 2 years. No, maybe 2 years. Anyways, so, yeah, we split. Yeah, 2 years. Anyways,
for 4 years. English, like 4 years. Movie in April.
So, as soon as we start,
it's by their choice.
Clearly. As soon as we started dating, I started making better money at my job because I was doing a lot better. And during my divorce, I just put my head down and started working. So everyone was like, "Hey, just throw money at me." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." And then after that, I was like, I got a girlfriend. I don't need money anymore. Which is not true. But the funny thing was,
because you do need money.
Like it's going to style. So by the time I started making more money. I just started dating Victoria, and like we went shopping a few times because I'm like, I need new shirts for work, new ties and stuff like that, because I'm like, I finally can afford it. So like we went out, bought a bunch of stuff, and people started coming like, oh, is Victoria teaching you how to dress? And I'm like, no, I can just now afford clothes that I like instead of just what I can afford. And they were like, right. So she was attributed all any good fashion decisions went to Victoria, and I'm like, that's some bullshit. That's some real bullshit. Is not there.
I'm with you because you can't like leave her and then dress nice and be like, see, I dress nice even not with her, but they'll be like, yeah, but because you learned that from her. Like, no matter what, it's always gonna be.
No one will ever believe you. And Victoria's like, you do have great taste. I'll say it for public record. No one's gonna believe you.
The winking face kind of like undermines it a little bit.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. Wink, wink. Oh, is that your imaginary friend? Oh, you look so great. Thanks. You wouldn't know the difference between Stone Island and Tommy Bahama without me. Booyah. I don't know who either one of those are. Let's be very clear, okay?
I don't either. I've never even heard of either one of those things.
Tommy Bahama sounds like a guy I'd get shot with. Stone Island, different type of island.
Stone Island sounds like a great dispensary name.
Definitely.
Because like in the state of Ohio, I don't know if it's like this in every state in America, but in the state of Ohio, a dispensary has to be a freestanding building. So an island.
Yeah.
Stone Island.
So originally they had all those crazy laws for us up here too when it got legalized. And then they were like, who cares? So now it's like every strip mall has a weed shop, and they're like, yeah, it doesn't. Like it's hilarious because you're like, bro, there's always people in there. There's always people buying weed. You're like, yeah, it's the new liquor store. That's basically what it is. It's the liquor store of my generation. Because, right? Bro, yeah, I remember.
Well, how far back? When did y'all get weed legalized?
Before the pandemic.
Oh, probably so like, it's pretty new.
Yeah, well, like you could buy weed wherever. Like you'd have people. Like I've always see. My problem is this:
well,
is
I never sanctioned marijuana. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
let me see when it was legalized. I'm gonna Google it just so I don't sound like an idiot.
It's for a while. Weed, so like, that's just limitations passed on that. So
I remember buying quarter ounces and then divvying it out to people. And I'm like, yeah, I'd make an extra couple $100 a month.
I would never sell that much. Anybody ever ask that much from me, I'd be like, you're a fed, get away from me.
No. I would get it from my buddy. He would get a full ounce and I would get a quarter from that. He would take a half. He gave a quarter to somebody else as well. And then I would, I had like a scale and everything. And I was just trying to make some extra money. When was marijuana?
Well, I was just my whole point was gonna be that you guys are a little bit more liberal than where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's still pretty new.
Yeah.
Here it was just legalized last year by vote, and then it became legal in Ohio officially in July. But Ohio is such a conservative state. Like they've been trying to overturn that vote since the moment the people voted, because it was a people's vote.
Yeah.
So the state has been trying to throw that out.
Yeah.
Since the minute it was voted in,
Yeah, the people have no rights. Why would they do? What say do they have? The idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. You're just like, bro.
I don't fuck with conservative politics. Everybody's like, you're a conservative. I'm like, nah, I'm MAGA. There's a difference.
There's a difference. I feel like the whole idea behind MAGA is also like what used to be an anarchist. We're like, no, the system's broken and the system needs to come down, right? So
make America great again. Like,
yeah. So where you going? When we had polluted lakes and industry, and you could do a bump at work during lunch. Those times were great in America. Okay, let's be honest. You're like, oh man, I had a rough night.
I was thinking more
fine for the rest of the afternoon.
I was thinking more like I don't know, like post World War II America, and when I say post, I mean like 1947. Like those were the good old days.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm white, so I would feel that way. But what if we make that for every race? That how awesome it was to be white in 1947, but for
everybody,
everyone.
for everyone.
You know?
I think listen, that period of America without the racism, I feel like that would be a win. That would be a win on so many levels.
And if we could even like maybe go back to like 1919 for certain aspects of the world.
Listen, just pre-female vote. That's fine. Yeah, it's 100%. That's. Hey, listen. Let's hope that that's winding down at this point, and we can just get on with our lives because, like, it's been enough. That's the whole idea, right?
I know women don't like standing in line. They do all that online shopping. So why do they go vote?
Yeah, well, listen, and also too, they vote for people like they vote for Justin Trudeau, and you're like, he's got nice hair. You're like, that's not a reason to vote for somebody. You're like, did you see he does yoga? He's so flexible. Also, not a reason to vote for somebody. Why would you do that?
You know who doesn't have good hair?
Who?
Donald Trump.
And you know what? He's gonna make America great again. There you go. I said this on stage was when Trudeau started to become just like, listen, within 5 months of being in office, it just became a shit show with this guy, right? Justin Trudeau gets my vote over Justin Trudeau. Those are the same person, guy.
Neither one of those are Justin Trudeau, though.
Come on. Nick, you're an educator. I assume better from you. Come on. My hands are so, bro. Okay, I've been going out and for a smoke, and like within seconds, my hands are frozen solid, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ! Like it's really cold outside. But that's like, this is the problem: is that Jimmy Carter over my dead body. I mean, literally. Let's be honest. I kind of wish Jimmy Carter ran this past election and got elected, just because it would have been great. Because he was
He evidently voted somehow.
I'm sure he voted for Kamala Harris. Come on, let's be honest.
No, he did. He said he did. Or they said he did. He said he did.
I'm sure him, and everyone else in the same cemetery also voted. This. Ta-da! Yeah, I was. So yeah, when everything started,
like if you're in hospice, you should lose your right to vote. That's like right. You don't like. Honestly, it should be like insurance. You know how like there's like a certain point where you're like uninsurable. Well, you shouldn't be if you have potentially less amount of time on this earth. Potentially, we figure, based off of say the life expectancy, the life expectancy. Then if you have less time than a certain amount of time, I don't know. Let's just say 20 years, because usually that's what an 8-year, 2-term vote is going to affect the next 20 years. I mean, hell, Reagan affected 40 years, but if you have less than a certain amount of years left, probably, then you shouldn't get a vote. Like, I'm sorry. So
if there's a voter age minimum, there should be a voter age maximum. That's simple.
It really ought to be like 25 to 65, because those are the people who affect the economy and the workforce and stocks and everything.
Hey, Lily, I am asking the same question. Who is Justin Trudeau? And I want to know. Okay, Nick, you got to tell me. See, this is the thing. Is I was making the joke on stage where I'm like, I'm not getting bamboozled by pretty hair again. Next election, everyone who's going for the spot needs to have their head shaved. Man, woman, child, I don't care. Shaved head. I'm not getting duped by pretty hair. Okay, and no makeup. You have to wear like Value Village Salvation Army clothing. You're not allowed to wear anything fancy. That's it. You have to wear a potato sack during the whole election process. That way you can't bamboozle anyone with your fancy looks.
Justin Trudeau has always come off as a bit like
he's a very pretty man. Let's be honest, okay?
Which is crazy because his dad is such a fucking gangster.
Oh, which dad? Fidel
Castro?
Yeah, Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro had like I am spicy.
Like, he was a good looking dude, but like he
for
was
like
a
4 years.
he was like a man, you know what I mean? Like he was the Cuban Sean Connery.
I mean, basically, yeah. Looked it up. Justin Trudell is a famous producer. I mean, probably. Thank you for sharing, Lily. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing well today. But like, this is the thing is that, oh, and by the way, for anyone who's wondering, I have realized that I look like Sean Connery from SNL's Jeopardy episodes. I'm comfortable with it. Okay. I don't remember the rest of the joke, but your mother's a whore. Just to be very
We
clear.
both look like we're impersonating like old celebrities. You're Sean Connery and I'm
Yeah.
Bam Margera.
That's that's a little on the point.
What are you gonna do today, Bam? Whatever the fuck I want.
There you go. Ta-da! I feel like that. Nick, I fucked that up. That's all right. Don't worry about it. That's the advantage of the internet is it lets you do it again. It's great.
It'll never. No, it's not like anybody will ever be able to see it in a few years.
Oh yeah, the internet's listen.
It just goes away.
Listen, the way it's going, with regards to censorship and everything, like it's only a matter of time before everything is just locked down, right? Like the amount of times and effort that people have put into creating bullshit online stuff. Like I was talking with another person the other day, or maybe no, I was talking with it was on Generation Dan yesterday. The whole idea where it's like people who are doing reaction videos and like adding zero content, zero understanding, and the reaction is like, oh, and you're going, that's not, you're a waste. And they're like, I got 500,000 views. You're like, what the hell? You're like, you shouldn't be allowed in public, let alone unsupervised anything, right? And it's just gotten to the point. So yeah, I feel like what we should do is we should play back our own stuff and react to it and try and do clips of it and just be like, look what I saw on the internet. And just, see if I can get 500,000 views. It'd be great. So also on that note, please everyone make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Sniffing Glue 22, Dealing Genetic Marvel on all platforms. We will accept your friend requests. We will roast you afterward, just an FYI, and you will cry. But that's okay. That's part of the circle of life.
You know what's funny? It's funny that you mentioned that we should react to our own videos because every time I watch a video of me in it, it's like the first time I'm ever seeing it. Because I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth, and I never remember what did.
See, and this is
the same story a million times.
Oh, no, that's fair. And you're kind of looking, what's the going rate for a side of beef in Canada? I mean,
what is a side of beef? Like, are you talking about like prostitution or?
Frederica, was that sexual innuendo or are you asking for how much, like for a man slave, or what? I need more details. But like, for a steak, it's
okay, but a steak is not a side.
For a whole cow?
A whole cow.
I don't know. Hold on.
Are you just asking for like what is beef going per pound right now? Because like it's different depending on the cut. At least in America, I don't know how they do in Canada.
Yeah, we also do that. Yeah,
that's crazy. I didn't know y'all ate meat there.
We don't have houses. We live in igloos.
No, I knew y'all lived in igloos. I just thought y'all were mostly vegetarian.
So, beef prices in Canada vary, but like, okay, here's chuck roast $6 to $8 per pound. A porterhouse $31 per pound. Filet $35. Top sirloin $21.50. Like, in other words, okay, basically, if you buy a steak at a restaurant and it's decent, it's gonna be. I'm in Canada visiting my great aunt. I want to surprise her. I don't think you should surprise her with a whole cow. I would say buy her some Lego. That is always a good gift. Cow,
old lady trying to put Legos together. Yeah, okay, with arthritis. Come on,
with her crinkly witch hands. Yeah, it'll help. I'm
giant knuckles that all old people have.
All Americans again. Good night. Tomorrow is school. He's American. I'm Canadian, Jimmy. So
I have an American citizenship, but like I don't think anybody in America would claim me.
Oh, have you seen Dino's food shorts, Cole? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Is it
I haven't been as active lately. My whole fucking life is falling apart the last like fucking 6 weeks.
The best part about that is once it's all fallen apart, you can rebuild however you deem necessary. It's good. I see. This is why we started talking about this, guys. Was the whole idea that this too shall pass? Is that like I am definitely a firm believer. Is it aunt or aunt?
I say aunt, but I'm from the South, so
Yeah,
I think that's just a Southern thing.
You know what though, but also too, I say aunt, but if somebody like says auntie, I don't like that person immediately, and I'm like, what are you trying to be fancy?
I recognize all of them as an answer, but I only say aunt.
Yeah, I say aunt.
Aunt, auntie, aunt. I don't. It doesn't. I know what you're saying.
I only had one aunt that had a special name. She was my mom's only, like she was my only connection to my mom's side of the family, and she had a special nickname. But everybody else was just auntie, just aunt, whatever.
That's something that's got to go. We got to stop calling our grandparents by their like the name we gave them when we were 3, but now we're in our 30s. We got to stop doing that.
I mean, that's fair.
As a culture.
You know what though? But my nephew calls his dad by his first name, and I'm like, you got to stop doing that.
No,
he's like, well, what's big deal? I'm like, you're a bad person.
Don't call your grandfather Ping Pong or whatever. Just call him Grandpa.
Good, yeah, that's fine.
Gramps, that works.
That's okay. I'm having her beef.
But I called my grandmother Dee Dee until I was like 27 when she died. I know, and I didn't like it. That's why I didn't like it.
Yeah, if you're getting like, it's gonna be a reasonable price for drink. It's like if you're coming up to Canada, it's gonna be cheap.
My mom just said I didn't talk to her for 16 years when she died. It was 16 years the last time I spoke to her. We didn't have a great relationship, but it's also just really hard to reach out to somebody when you have to call them Dee Dee when it's not their name. Yeah,
she was a great aunt. I'll be honest with you.
When it's your grandparent and you got to call them by some name you made up when you were 3, as an adult, it's like hard to start a conversation.
I want to encourage people to call their grandparents fart pants or poopy face, something like that, where you're like, yeah, call them until you're an adult. Just call them, hey, what's up, fart pants? And then watch them go, little shit.
It's demeaning, and it's a way to keep like the not even the youth, but like the ones lower on the hierarchy down. You know what I mean?
Listen, they're like the best part is that like I always think of how every child has that moment where they realize their parents' names, like depending, right? Like throughout life. And I always think about Waterboy, where it's like, dear Helen, that's you. Like,
that's you.
Yeah, I'm like,
always know my name. Like he's always know my name. He just
I've seen documents, and I'm like, who is this that we're related to? And they're like, that's your uncle. And I'm like, oh, I don't think that's his name. They're like, that's definitely his name. I'm like, really? Okay, that's fine.
Wait, so what do you call your uncle?
Huh? No, it was a nickname or something. I forget who it was, but it was like a distant uncle that we didn't see it. They would always refer to him by his last name and stuff like that.
That's weird.
But also too,
I'm just like other than maybe your grandparents and your parents, I'm just like a first name basis type of person. Like, cause I started college at like 24. So like I was basically peers with all of my like professors. And I was in community college, you know what I mean? Okay, and they're like, you have to call me Mr. or Professor. I'm like, what's your first name? I'm calling you Jim.
If I have to pay for this, I'm calling you by your first name, just FYI. Yeah. So
like, the thing. I'm not like these other 18-year-olds that still raise their hand to go to the bathroom. No, your name is Jim.
There were other young people in our church that would call my father by his first name. And when they would do that, I would just look at them and be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And they're like, oh, well, we're trying to be, and I'm like, no. You address my father as Mr. Don't even think about.
Well, that's fair if you're a child, but as an adult,
it was all people around like 17, 18.
Nah, that's not an adult.
People start to like, oh, I'm a grown ass man. I'm like, you're barely a child. Just calm the fuck down.
I feel like there's like it can be dictated by age, but if you don't have anything going for you, then the age is like 28. But if you have like a child or you take care of a dependent of some kind, or you have a business. You know what I mean? Then you get to be a peer with all the other adults.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like a 19-year-old getting introduced to me as like now a 45-year-old, and they're like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jim." And I'm like, "We're not the same. You're a child. I'm an adult. Just calm the fuck down." Right? Like,
I've had the exact opposite situation. Because people like younger kids will come up, like I say kids, but they're like 22, and they'll be like, "Mister," I'm like,
bro, I got called Mister when I was 16, and I was like, "Buy a girl, and I was like, she was like, "Hey, miss."
hot,
Hey, we had been flirting back and forth at a carnival, and we had to go separate ways because her friends were going one way, my friends were going another way, and I was like, "Yo, let's try and find those bitches," right? And then I thought I saw them, and then I heard, like, as I passed, I was like, "Oh, maybe we missed them," and then I heard, "Hey, Mister," and I'm like, "Nope, I'm just gonna keep on walking. That's not absolutely not." And I was 16 at the time too, bro. And I was like,
you know what? Also, is a weird like like I don't know what to call it, but like it's a weird like it's a bit of a surreal moment because like when I see Jack's friends, like whether it's at school, daycare, the playground, or whatever, and they'll say Mr. Cole or Mr. Hicks or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like these 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids, and they see me as like a grown up. You know what I mean? Like a chaperone, if you will. And I'm just like, this is crazy. I was just your age like 3 days ago. Like I'm kind of still.
So
I'm a little like I can make decisions and stuff. Like I'm definitely in charge here, but like also like I kind of want to jump off the monkey bars too, and break my arm.
I feel like that's fair. That's fair. I think there's
I want to show you my cool light up shoes too.
Like, who doesn't? Like, bro, there's nothing better than seeing that meme where it's like, I got a new pair of shoes. Nobody asked me if I could run faster. Being grown up is bullshit. You're like, yeah, that's 100% accurate. This is not
facts. Nobody asked you what your favorite dinosaur is anymore.
It's the Ankylosaurus for reasons that it can do anything, just except climb trees. There you go. It can defend, it can attack, it can do everything.
Mine's a Velociraptor.
That's because you're a fucking child. Cole's Diddy. Hi, sweet.
Was that Cole's Diddy?
Yeah, apparently. I think your mom
just like the rapper.
I mean, you got some explaining to do. Listen, this is the thing, is like, I'm a firm believer that we make our own luck, right? Like I do, but also like I don't disagree that time and unforeseen occurrence befall us all, right? But sometimes, like you and I both know this, is that sometimes when you do stuff, didn't you just say your grandma died when you were 27? This is not, it's Dee Dee. Like, that's
weird.
That's how you get a stalker.
She changed her name to that. She definitely did that.
Of course she did. That is
somebody's trolling me right now.
Only family can treat you like that. That's
my Dee Dee never called me sweetie. She actually never called me, so
there you go. That's that's family.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's been quite the roller coaster the last month and a half for both of us.
6, 7 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
Yours started like a week before mine.
Yeah, mine's just around Thanksgiving.
Because you were going through it, and I was like, "Damn, that sucks."
Yeah.
Anyway,
and you're like, "Wow, it sucks to be you," and then you're like, "Luckily, I'm in between these very stable walls. There's no problem here." Bam! Yeah, it's
So I'm like, "Hey, how's that's a great analogy because for the last like month and a half, I have felt like I'm in the compactor at on the Death Star. Like
that was exactly what I was thinking, and you're like, "We're good. It's not moving. It's fine. There's just garbage. That's
At
okay.
least the
We
walls
can
aren't
survive
closing
garbage.
in or anything. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's not like the walls are closing in. Then you're like, hey, what the fuck? No. Use the post. Put the post in, and then it bends. You're like, God damn it, get a stronger post. Yeah, that's fine. It's this is
I
one
gotta
of
go
those
watch that
things,
movie. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
bro. I might watch it tonight. Oh, this afternoon we were trying to watch a show. And nice to meet Cole's grandma. She's quite stunning. Oh, Jesus. You know what? There is nothing worse. There's nothing worse than hearing about people in your like where you're like they're in my circle but not really, like a teacher or someone like like 30, like that person but you don't know that person, and then they're like, oh, I started dating your cousin. You're like, get the fuck out of here, I'm not interested. Don't. They're like, oh yeah, I'm like, I don't like it when worlds collide. It's not.
I'm not even gonna go into that because I may have been the one dating my cousin.
He's from the South. That's no.
No, my grandmother was
a murderer.
Don't look anything like that. She was like dead ass like 12/8 like Native American. So
yeah, Nick, what the fuck? Yeah, that was directly.
I was kidding. Calm down.
Yeah, the funny part is, Nick, I remember I was taking my ex-wife to Greece, and in front of me sat a teacher I had in high school, and he was with another teacher, and I was like, Greece? No, on the airplane, and I was like, where are you? And he was like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm going to Greece. He's like, oh, why? And I'm like, to go to my own house in Greece. And he was like, fuck my life. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, vacation. And I'm like, oh, like a tour? You going on a tour? Is it with a group of 30 people? He's like, fuck you, man. And I'm like, we're adults now, so
was he an asshole? Yeah. He wasn't a nice guy, was he?
Well, so
you're not rubbing it in the teacher's face. He was a nice guy.
So
I had a teacher named Mr. Ball in high school, and he was the nicest guy ever. I would never do that. Mr. Beckham, on the other hand, I would totally do that too.
Can I answer? Can I answer now? You chatty Cathy. What is happening tonight? I mean, we're trying to talk, but Cole keeps interrupting.
I'm talking successfully. I don't know about trying.
I don't know about that, but so his name was Mr. Dale, and he was okay, but I did show him up in his own class a couple times because he tried to be like, you're not, and I'm like, no, man, I'm not good at this class. I'm taking it because I'm an idiot, and I don't want to do this. Because I was taking a night course that I did enjoy, but I had to stop it because it was just too overwhelming. So his course, it was a calculus class, and I'm not good at calculus. I'm better at algebra geometry. So when we had an algebra geometry unit, I dominated to the point where stop interrupting the nice man. There you go. So
that's Nuce. She's calling you Italian.
Listen. Nice.
Calling you an Italian slur because you obviously look.
You're an Italian slur. I'm not Italian, you prick. So, anyways,
you're Scottish Italian. You're like half Scottish, half Italian because of the Sean Connery thing going on.
If I'm half Scottish, half Italian, you're half potato and half Wiener Schnitzel. So that's fine.
That's food. Why do you get to be a part of my food?
That's right. Because we're that different.
Are you calling me a sausage?
Not even a potato.
Is that because you want me in your mouth, you fucking gay like weirdo?
Why am I gay?
Because you called me a sausage.
Let me tell my story, you interrupting retard.
Sorry, you were saying something about shop class and you didn't like it.
Calculus.
That's the one.
So we're in an algebra geometry unit, and I'm in this class is like university prep level class, okay? And the teacher is like, I don't like that you got allowed in this class. And I'm like, that's not your choice. Just shut up and teach the class. Because at this point, I'm 6'2" and 300 pounds. And I'm like, bro, I'll snap you in half. Just do your teaching, okay? and I'm in the class with people that I've known for decades, right? Because we were all in the same area and there was only like a few big schools, right? So I know all these people, and these are all nerds that are going on to like much bigger and better things. And they can't understand what's on the board. And the teacher's like, why can't you guys get this? And I'm like, sir, I can explain it. And he's like, just calm down, idiot. You don't need any part of this. And I'm like, okay. So it's an hour and 15 minutes was our class, an hour in, and I'm like, hey, can I show you where you messed up? And he's like, you know what? Fine. He throws the chalk at me. I walk up, I erase 2 parts, change them, and I'm like, there you go.
He threw the chalk at you?
Yeah. And then,
hey,
30 over to me.
If somebody threw chalk at me, I'm throwing it back. I don't care what age I am.
Anyways, let me finish the fucking story. You fucking goddamn idiot. Anyways, so I go up, I change his equation to make it seem simpler, and 30 fucking nerds who are like literally like these are all the smartest people in our school just stand there going, oh, and he's just looking at me going, how the fuck did you do that? And I'm like, oh, I'm not stupid, I just don't like you. That's and he was just like, fuck her. And I'm like, no, I'm just joking, I'm just not interested. Nick, I'm 5'3" and students tower me, bro. Okay, but at the same time,
does Santa Claus know that you're not at the North Pole?
That's not nice. That is not nice.
He's an angry elf.
Victoria, I remember a math teacher in high school who was super racist to the Asian male students, and they were all really smart. One of the guys got 110% for his final marks, and he used to yell at. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. Is that that kind of stuff. Anyways, when I ran into him on the airplane, I was like, "Oh, are you like here on a tour?" And he was just like, "Fuck." But like in the last, I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago, he actually got charged with like inappropriate stuff with a student, and that's the last I ever heard of him. So I was like, ugh. And I saw him on the news. I was like, oh, sucks to be you, bro. Maybe you should go back to
was he actually racist towards the teacher, or I'm sorry, towards the students, or was he just trying to teach Asian kids how they're used to being taught by their parents?
That's a good question. And immediately your mom's like, oh, hello. Jesus Christ. There you go. That's the problem right there.
Who is trolling me right now? Who's this really? Somebody's under a fake account with a fake name who obviously watches the show a lot. It is definitely trolling me right now.
Here's a question for you, Victoria. So no, he was racist because he treated everyone else. Did he treat girls nice? So this is my big frustration, was teachers who only treated girls nice. I was like, you're a piece of shit. And every time I saw that shit, I'd be like, sorry, I'm not a girl. You're not gonna treat me nice. And they're like, what did you say? You're like, I didn't stutter. That's fine. I'm like, everyone knows, bro. Everyone knows.
I had this one teacher who's kind of like that. He would treat all the girls really nice and like very polite though. Very polite, very old school. Because he was an older man. He was like he went to Vietnam and all that. But he was kind of like, you fucking dumbass to the guys for the most part. But then when you caught him alone, when it was just you or maybe just the guys, you'd be like, I fucking hate those bitches.
That's fair though.
But I don't want them to know.
He's playing the game. My wife is 5'9". So Nick, that means you're either rich or hung like a donkey. Like you're just like just hanging out on a daily basis, right? That's fine. Good for you. Good for you.
Or he takes his wife to the chocolate factory on a regular basis.
I mean, listen, does she carry around in like one of those front baby carriers? Is that sorry, I'm sorry, Nick. It is funny. I appreciate you supporting us and being having a good sense of humor.
Nick, I know this time of year where it's really cold, she's swaddling you.
Like, well, and also too, so Victoria and I have been making cartoon cards for Christmas and sending them out on an annual basis. And I just thought of it, Nick, what you should do is do one like The Hangover, where your wife is Zach Galifianakis and you're the baby in the front pouch.
Couples cartoon.
Yeah, but she is pleased with my rod, but I am also bald. Yeah, no, so yeah, me too, bro. Don't worry about it.
Women don't really give a shit about dudes with like younger women do, but like I don't know, once you get past 30, the women and the men, women don't give a shit about that as much. Like that's more of a man thing to worry about.
So I had someone say I like bald men. So I made a joke about being bald, and she was like, "I prefer bald men," and I was like, Okay, that's
Yeah, no, I know,
like that makes me uncomfortable.
I know a lot of women who are like, y'all shut the fuck up. It just broke out in the whole living room. I swear to God.
Bro, Frederica's out here trying to fucking get people into jail. Frederica, calm down. Hey, just because he's a principal doesn't mean he can't talk about rods. Okay.
He's outside. He's outside the business hours. Anyway, yeah, no, I've had plenty of women who are like, after 30, older than 30, they're like, yeah, no, I actually prefer bald dudes because they're like, it. Their reasoning, every time I heard it, it kind of boils down to, in their opinion, he has more testosterone. I'm like, I guess does testosterone lead to baldness? I don't know.
It is that, so having too much testosterone does lead to male pattern baldness, but
I do not have too much testosterone. I have just the right amount.
Tell the rest of the family to get out. We're podcasting.
I know, right? Like,
it's 100%. It's either Grayson or your mom who's just like, which is fair.
No, and I hear my mom in the background just bullshitting back there.
It doesn't matter. One of them's on their phone, just going, yeah, good. Just trying to fuck with you. Yeah. So I see. This is the thing, right? Is that we're all running our own race, right? It's all different and stuff. But the fact is, like, after all is said and done, it's tough to not get bogged down with like shit storms when they start happening, because you're just like, I wish I knew where the rest of this was. Interestingly enough, okay, buffalo, this is a weird thing, is that I believe it's the majority of animals, when they see a storm, they run away. Cows specifically, I know that they run away from a storm, whereas buffalo actually run towards the storm, which I'm like, it's interesting because they're like, listen, the storm's coming whether you like it or not. But the faster you get through it, the better, which is sound logic, right? So it's like, how can you use that where it's like, okay, what?
Once the storm kills you.
I mean, if the storm's going to kill you, it doesn't matter if you run or not. You're going to die.
I feel like you can outrun a storm. My people are from New Orleans. You can definitely outrun a storm. It's just nobody does there.
I mean, that's fair. Lily, did we get to the bottom of V prices? Not really. It's reasonably priced. I feel like it's
beef is outrageous in Ohio.
Yeah,
like
beef is very
almost. It's like about or around $5 a pound.
Yeah, the going price. The going price is around. It's between $7 and $14 per pound.
Dude, bacon is like fucking $9 a pound here.
Why? You book, bro. Lily, you're accurate.
The problem is nobody knows how to just eat ramen long enough to starve these fucking companies out and bring prices down. I could do it. And if I can do it, anyone else can do it, because I am not a skilled person.
No, hey man, that's I think the problem is that
ramen will go up in that time. But
oh, that's for sure. I feel like next time I come down, I'm gonna bring you an entire box of cup of noodle. I'll be like, here you go. I brought you.
I can hate cup of noodle, but it is what it is. You know? I hate ramen. I hate all that shit, but it is what it is.
We had this discussion where I'm like, for me, like ramen is fancy if you do it fancy, but the way that North America was exposed to ramen is like, this costs $0.25. Enjoy, and you're like, that's not gonna be enjoyable, bro. And then now it's like
inevitably does that to everything, though. Like, look at the burger. The burger was like a legit, like fancy delicacy when it came to America, and then we turned it into McDonald's.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
See, and this is the thing is like I'm a firm believer that like time does take care of everything. Right? Like it just the whole thing is weathering the storm. And that's why like I always try and figure that out, is that like the hard part is you never know when the storm is coming. So it's like you always have to bank on being prepared, but then you're like, well, maybe I should take a chance. And then you're like, that was 100% of the time when you're like, I'm going to take a chance. And it's the wrong time to take a chance. And you're like, shit, now the storm's here. Damn it. And that's, like It's one of those when I was in teaching school, I ate nothing but Slim Jims and ramen for months. My stank was oh, bro. Listen, ramen and Slim Jims, you're like you were a walking WMD. That's like there's no
You gotta go to teaching school?
yeah, there's teaching like a teachers college. They call it up here, but like it's weird. I don't know. I don't know that it's any different. Like I feel like because teaching isn't the same anymore, right? Because there's a
You
level
just
of
know stuff and then tell it to people who don't know it.
see, and that's why it's like realistically that should be a communications degree, but it's not. Which it's more so psychological warfare and how to fuck with kids, which I'm also all for. Because if you're gonna
Well,
brainwash them early.
there's a
Let's be honest.
lot of people who I feel like get into teaching because it's a job and not because
Yes.
like they give a shit about the future or the youth or like
It
like
but that's the
the
same with
legacy or anything, you know?
bro, I don't know anything. My whole career has been a great scam and I'm bald. Nick, you're winning, bro. You're winning at life.
I don't think
Congratulations.
anybody knows anything.
Not
No,
anymore.
what is it that Socrates said? He says something like, knowledge is knowing that you know nothing.
Correct. And that's like I've started to incorporate in my verbiage non-committal responses of like because a lot of times I used to be like
I'm always
100% yeah,
I'm
for
asking
sure.
that at a young
And I'm
age,
like,
bro. What?
you know, and people are like, what do you think about this? I don't know. I don't know. Because it's like when you have an opinion, you're also kind of predicting the future, which I'm like, that's not safe. It's not a safe thing to do, right? Because people, as soon as you commit to, well, this is how it's going to play out, people are like, I will do everything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen, just so
Right,
you're wrong. And you're like,
right.
why? Why do you have
That's
to
why
be such
you
a
use
piece of
words like it. I don't know is too much of a definite answer too, because
yeah,
it makes you look like an idiot.
yeah,
In my case, at least. Um, I learned at a young age to use words like "it
yeah,
seems like,"
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
You're like, I've seen it like that in my experience, but you know, there's a lot of variations. Things like there's a lot of nuances to how you deliver that kind of information, right? And that's like one of those things where I like to tell people I'm like, maybe. And they're like, what do you think about that? I don't have an opinion. And people are like, you don't have an opinion? I'm like, no, not really. I'm like, I don't know enough about it to actually care and invest my time. And then people are like, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not important to me.
they
I
get
don't
hurt,
care.
dude. People get buttered by that shit.
I love hurting people's feelings when they're like, this is important to me. And I'm like, it's good for you. It's not important to me. And they're like, why not? I'm like, I don't care. That teaching guy is messed up. I hope he ain't here in Tennessee. Okay, number one, Frederica, if you're thinking that the pinnacle of education is Tennessee, let's right. And also, too, Nick has been a fantastic person to help us understand. Because listen, the problem with teaching is that most teachers get loving, educating people beating the shit out of them. Just like doctors will become a doctor because I want to help people, and then the system will beat the living shit out of you until you just start prescribing what they ask, and you're just like, all right, that's fine, just here you go, here's a slip, here's a slip. And you're like, this is the problem is we live in a system where your adherence to the governance of the system is rewarded, whereas you being the best you can
Oh my
possibly be
god,
is shit
Dino!
on. What?
Dino! That's what's
What?
happening to me right now. Holy shit!
Yeah.
I remember when we met,
Yes.
and even though I was going through the worst thing that could ever happen to me,
Yes.
I still had the light in my eyes, and I just
Yeah.
realized I don't have the light in my eyes anymore.
Yeah. It's
It's because I'm
but that
30 now.
yeah, that happens when you're 30.
It's not an age thing.
Hey,
It's just
listen.
you're too old to keep getting the shit knocked out of you and fighting back.
Yeah. So when you're 30, what happens is this little ghost goes into your brain and goes up to the lantern that shine that little light and goes, let's just turn that off. There you go. And you go,
I
oh,
feel like
okay.
he kicks the lamp over. It's and you just hear like a breaking sound.
Well, he does that for women. That's why they go through what's called a hoe phase, because they're like, well, everything's on fire here. Might as well go do something else. And you're like, oh,
I mean, they're not the only one that went through a hoe phase.
I mean,
I went like 3 or 4.
he is currently in his hoe phase. If everyone,
I'm not. I'm a good boy right now.
Like by his standards, it's not.
Sometimes they text me and try to hit me up. It's old hoes, and then they get mad at me. That's my favorite part. These women, they get mad at me because I'm exactly who the fuck I was the last time that they stopped fucking with me.
Same old me. What's up? And they're like, nope. And
they reach out to me. Well, sometimes I reach out to them, but it still counts because you answered.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't even know where to start with the whole way things are these days, right? Like people. I remember telling people like, bro, they're like, oh, so how do you? Because I'm like, I've been married twice, and they're like, oh, did you have a big move? I'm like, no. I'm like,
move.
Like, bro, I'll tell you this much: the move was we were watching TV, and I went from the couch to the shoulder. That was for the ex-wife. And Victoria, after like 3 weeks, I just went for a kiss, which I basically almost shit my pants.
That's really
and then the look. Right? Listen, I'll tell you, the look on her face. I was like, oh my god, she's gonna call the police. I don't know what to do. And then I was like, was that not cool? And she was like, no, it was good. And I was like, well, I'm very.
Yeah, that RV hat.
Bro, I was terrified. That's yeah. Speaking of old hoes, do you want me to tuck you into? Oh Jesus, that's
weird.
Inappropriate.
No, my problem is I'm not like mean to these chicks or anything. It's just like I'm like you said, I'm non-committal about things. Where a lot of women around my age, my whole generation of women, are big on, oh, if he wants to, he will. And I'm just like,
I don't want to.
I want to, but it's a lot.
Define mean in your standard.
It's a lot. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of work. And I don't want to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then it hurts their feelings because then they feel inadequate because I don't want to put in any effort. And I'm just like, it's really not you, it is me. So stop taking it as I'm making you feel inadequate. I'm inadequate, if anything.
Listen, Victoria says, define mean in your standards, Cole, please.
I mean, like how I'm mean to you guys. Like I talk shit a lot, and that gets me into trouble with women, romantic relationships, because I'll just say what I want or I'll just roast a woman. I don't care. But
last time it wasn't even what you said that got you into hot water. It was what I said, and that's even funnier.
I have since spoken to that chick, and like what she said made sense. I still don't agree with her, but it was like she was mad that I didn't defend her honor to you. I was like, I don't. What you said is how I talk to people, like, and she knew that. Like, I'm like, I told her, I was like, I'm not gonna apologize for that still, because I would have said the same thing, like given the circumstances, and nothing would have changed,
But I didn't say anything bad about her. That's not.
Well, that's the other thing. It was a hypothetical too.
I love this. I met my wife at Arby's. It was love at first beef. I mean, that's a love story, if anything. Okay.
We got the meats. Is that what you said to her?
I mean,
I got the meat.
I mean, depending on your age, that may have went well. Like, I got meat. You want some?
Well, I mean, Nick got a rod apparently, so like he's got that double cheddar, man.
Maybe he does yoga. That's obviously a selling feature. Maybe, and he doesn't have nice hair. He definitely does yoga. That's fine. He's very flexible.
Smokehouse brisket with the onions on top.
I mean, after the Slim Jim and ramen diet, you better have a big wiener. That's fair. That's
after my Slim Jim.
I mean, yeah. I mean, is that a move up from Slim Jims and ramen to Arby's? I feel like that's a lateral move. It's not a,
Do they call you Big Dick Nick?
There's a Big Nick, I forget which movie it was, but it was a bunch of girls went to a male strip club in like it was like like a college type like animal party type thing or animal house. And one of the guys was Big Nick, and he would walk out with a bunch of hot dogs in buns, but one of the hot dogs was his big wiener. So he's like walking around with a tray, and he's like, "I'm Big Nick." It was just like, this is weird, but yeah. Every time somebody
Well,
says
I
Big
watched a
Nick,
movie
I'm like,
called College in '06, and it had Jonah Hill in it, and he was wearing a hot dog costume, and he was like, "Ask me about
"Be
my
about
wiener."
my winner." That's one of the best things that I'm like, that's
All
how you fucking.
movies are weird when you're a teenager, is what I'm saying.
That's true. That's
We
100%
watched it
accurate.
like Superbad when I was a kid. Superbad was the best thing that ever happened to me. When I watched that movie, I watched it, I'm like, it was so funny.
Oh,
But
100%.
now
Did
that
you
I'm
ever?
an adult, I watched the movie, I'm like, this movie sucks. Like,
Do you remember the movie about what was it called? Party X? No, X. It was about a kid having.
I know what you're talking about. I
Yeah.
had seen it, but I was already like
So
23 and had a kid by the time I saw it.
the best part was how like the dad was like, "Bro, my son's a fucking loser," and then like the dad comes home and is like, "My Mercedes Benz is in the pool. My son had a crazy party. The house is destroyed," and he's like, "Nice." And I'm like, that's what being a dad is. You're like, bro, as long as you did it for hoes, I'm in with it. No problem. Just, you're now a legend. That's fine. You're like, why is my car in the pool? You're like, it's a crazy night. And you're like,
Isn't my son
right,
different?
well, yeah, you should. You should. Yeah, you should love your child, for who they are, not you shouldn't be like, oh, you're a fucking loser. That's not.
I'm 100% raising Jack to be. You gotta watch these bitches. You gotta watch these bitches, man. And
Bro,
he always tries to like, because he hasn't put it together yet. But he always
yeah,
tries to like, um,
people are nice. Oh,
no,
go
no,
on.
no, no, no. He tries to like contradict what I'm trying to teach him, and he's
Yeah, of course.
like, except mom. And I'm like, I
Mom.
don't want to come out and say it, but in my head, I'm like, especially mom. Like,
Well, this is the thing is like that's a mean band-aid to pull off for your son, though,
right?
right? Like that's like knowing that your own family is dog shit is something you have to learn by yourself. No one's going to tell you, right? Because like that's something like where I'm like I had to explain to my siblings how the brother who passed away, and I'm like, you guys lost a brother. I lost the tormentor. And they were like, what? And then I explained everything to them, and they're like, oh. I'm like, yeah, he was a piece of shit. So,
But what was he only like that to you? He wasn't like that to everybody else.
well, it turns out that he was like that to everyone. I'm just the first one who went, hey, go fuck yourself,
Oh,
and
so
walked away.
everybody else was hanging on to like tradition, is what you're saying.
Oh,
Just like
100%.
he's
The,
family, so he has to be family or whatever. I'm
thanks for
related to
entertaining me
him,
like
so that
that.
makes him
Here's
family.
Trevor. Hey, Frederica, we appreciate you coming by. We're going to be back on Thursday with mental health, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. So please make sure you guys like and subscribe to our channels on YouTube specifically because we are monetized and trying to do this as a thing. There's lots of things happening. So please make
Also,
sure
check
we have
out my X
MMPs.
page. I'm trying to get monetized on there as well. If you're on
Oh,
there,
yeah. It is, what is it? What's the name on it?
Sniffing Glue 22. Always.
No, the other one, the new one.
Oh, my other YouTube channel. Single Dad 22.
Single Dad 22. There you go. Thank you, Frederica. We appreciate everyone for coming up. But yeah, I think the hard part in everything is that like a lot of people hold on tradition. Like, yeah, we found out that like he was actually talking shit. Like my one brother was giving him money on a monthly basis to help him out because he was having trouble finding a job. And he was apparently talking shit about that brother. And I was like to the point where other people were like, yo, your brother hated you. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah. He talked so much. He said so many mean things about you. And you're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, he was a piece of shit. So I'm like, I don't really care. But night, Nick. Thank you for popping in. We are here every Monday. So everyone make sure you subscribe to Sniffing Glue 22, Dealing the Genetic Marvel. YouTube is best because that's where we go live most often, but all social media is appreciated. We and to resolve the subject, just so uh, you know, this too shall pass. It's something to keep in mind on a daily basis because you know what? It's if you I had to explain this to someone a little while ago, is if you only react to your highlight reels, then you start to get weird when things aren't going your way, when things are normal.
Right.
So that's why it's you have to. Life isn't about how you react. It's about riding the wave, right? Because you don't decide when it is. You just have to be as prepared as possible when a wave comes, and then you just ride it in. It's not as simple as people be like, yeah, you just go to work and everything will be fine. That's not life anymore, right? You have to wait for your opportunities and do that. But that's the fact is that there are ups and downs, and I'll tell you is that when you're focused on how things are versus how things you want to be, you can ride things as opposed to fight them. And the fact is that there's always someone bigger, someone stronger, someone meaner. Case in point, I'm meaner and than Cole consistently. I watch people cry and go, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but the thing is like you have always been mean. I got mean over time through
Life made you.
bitterness in life. You know what I mean? So you're better at it than me. It's not my first reaction. It's my first impression. Like for me, it's a front.
Yeah.
For you, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. Like,
that does not put me in a good situation. So thank you for that. It's good. It's good to know how other people see you, everyone. Just it's a fair point. But in the meantime,
just
please.
tell me like it is, brother.
That's all right. I am a professional mean person. So that's why when people are like, hey, you want to come to a roast? And I'm like, I would love to. You definitely don't want me to, just because I will make you cry.
I put it like this. You're the youngest of 6. And like, although Grace is not the youngest, he's the smallest and always was, and he's the meanest one. You know what I mean? And you're the biggest now, but you weren't for a long time. You know what I mean? No. Grayson is and forever will be and always has been the smallest, and he is the first one to jump to let's fucking fight in any situation with family, with friends, with enemies, with strangers. He's always like, let's fucking. He'll tell me stories all the time. These motherfuckers are mean mugging me. I had to be like, what's up? I'm like, Grayson, not every situation has to come down. No. He's like, you don't understand what it's like to be this small. Everybody wants to eat me. I'm like, maybe. I actually listen to it and I'm like, that might actually be true. I don't know. I've never been small.
I mean, so yeah, well, yeah. So this is the thing is like,
it's a
different
privilege.
life.
Yeah, it's a privilege that I've always been big. I've been bigger than everybody my entire life. Yeah. For the most part.
Well, this is the funny thing is when I am in a room of people, like I've gone to places where everyone was taller than me and I'm start looking around and I'm like, ooh, okay. All right. I'm like, and then people are like, you're a little guy. And I'm like, I'll rip your throat out. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, no, don't. I'm like, I may be little, but I'm like, I know how to fight. Like, cause that's the thing is a lot of big guys don't know how to fight like little people. And I'm like, I used to be the little guy. Then puberty happened and ta-da, giant. So yeah, it's different. That is a different perspective.
When everybody's bigger than me, I start getting real funny all of a sudden. Like
super. Hey, but I also start finding who's the weak point, and then that's the guy. And then everyone's like, yeah, let's make fun of him. And I'm like, there we go. Everyone's on my side.
I wanted to bring up that would be the last thing we talk about. But when you were talking about your teacher, you're like, I'll snap you in half. It's funny that you've always been bigger than everybody for the most. Well, I guess I don't know when did you hit your growth spurt? Because I was always big, and then I just stopped growing at a point.
Grade 8, I was like man size. The summer, and then I went to grade 9, and I was high school. Is then I was 6 foot and looking down on people. So
that's crazy because I was like 5'6" at 11. You know what I mean? And by 12, I was 6 foot tall. And then I just stopped.
Yeah.
So like I was always grown man size.
Yeah.
From a small age. Like, I mean, most of my family, a lot of family members, like my grandfather, the patriarch of my family, like fucking Korean vet, Vietnam vet, strong, could fucking kill you with his bare hands, 5'5". You know what I mean? Like little man. But my entire life, my entire family was always like, you're gonna play basketball. You're gonna play basketball. You're gonna play basketball. You know, because I was huge. I've always been big, and so I guess maybe it's different because you're like I'll snap you like a twig because you used to be little and then you got really big and now you're bigger than everybody and you can't snap people like a twig. To
It is
me,
nice.
it doesn't even occur to me that I can't. It's like after things get heated, then I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Like with the situation with my car door getting slammed. I'm cool until I'm not. Where you're like,
Yeah.
let's start this situation off with
Yeah.
some respect. Where
Yeah.
I have to tell people after I've been disrespected to respect me because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gentle and soft because I've always just been bigger than everybody.
Well, this is the
And
thing
it's
is,
not big anymore, that's the funny part. But
yeah, everyone's gotten way too fat. But like that's the weird thing is but like that's a lot of the times the thing. Whereas I'm like, I carry myself. I said this on stage the other day. I'm like, I've always walked like I have a big wiener, but now that I've lost all the weight, I can show you, and that's a whole different thing. Because people were like, yeah, I may have a big dick, but he's fat, so who cares? And I was like, ah, shit, now he's got a big wiener, and it's just, I'm like, yeah, so that's fine, whatever, right? But like, it's one of those things where even like I was telling you how I'm like, now that I'm like in my I've lost so much weight and everything, but I'm also old. I'm kind of like, I feel like I got one fight in me left, but at the same time, I don't get my ass kicked and be like, oh, congratulations, you have brain
yeah, but
damage.
you
You're
still
an
put the
idiot.
front up.
Yeah,
I think I left out the nuance of what I was saying is not a lot of people. This is outward thinking because it wasn't in my brain, but
yeah,
a lot of people saw how big I was and didn't fuck with me like that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're like, oh, that dude can fuck me up when I was younger because I was so much bigger than everybody. Like I said, I was 6 foot tall at 12. I was
yeah,
like Jack's fucking 5'1". He's fucking 9. You know what I mean? Like I was
yeah,
always I think I was bigger than him even. So like my
probably.
entire life up until a certain point, I was bigger than everybody by a good amount. So nobody fucked with me. So I didn't have that aggression. I didn't
Yeah,
need it. So
yeah,
like it's not my first initial reaction. So it's almost like when people do fuck with me now that I'm like normal size, 6 foot
yeah,
isn't that big in when you're an adult.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Now people fuck with me and I just like lose my mind. Like I
yeah.
don't know how to react.
Well, that's when that, yeah. And whereas the difference is because of high school and how I had to play things, is people were like, they give me stink eye, and I'm like, hi. And they're like, what? And I'm like, anytime you want, bro. And they're like, oh, I don't want. I'm like, are you sure? You better change your face because I'll change it for you. And they're just like, I don't want to be here. I'm like, yeah, you should go. That's fine. Just immediately, like, yeah, right out of the gate, I look at people and I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And they're like, oh yeah, but I'm like I've had guys, little guys, try and squeeze my hand. I'm like, are you all right? You okay? And then I'll go, hey, let me have a turn. And then I just start going, and they're like, ah, and I'm like, yeah, just stop. Don't do
My
that.
baby daddy's mom, or my baby mama's dad did
Yeah.
that to me. He did the squeeze my hand thing.
And you're like,
Uh, and this was like months after we had met, and he decided because of his daughter's dating history, that he already didn't like me. And so he tried squeezing my hand. We had already met, had a decent like getting
yeah,
to
yeah.
know each other by this point, and he tried squeezing my hand, and I just like squeezed it back, and he said, was that necessary? I'm like, was it necessary for you to
I'm like,
start the situation? Like,
yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, was it? Because it seems like you
and I got
started this and
tiny
now you
hands.
regret it.
He's a small guy. I left that part out.
Is he
He's
really?
5'5", 5'6". Irish people.
Yeah, yeah. All a bunch of fucking midgets. They grow like potatoes. You got to put them on the ground. That's fine.
Yeah, ask David about it. It was funny. There's a whole situation.
And that's the whole thing. You're like, hey, little guys who try and squeeze your hand, you're like, are you okay? You good? Like my hands are too big to squeeze. Like if you can squeeze my hand, like you also eat rocks. Like that's, it's not, that's why I love it when people try and squeeze my hand. And I'm like, oh, doesn't hurt at all. And they're like, like Victoria tried to squeeze my hand the other day. And I was like, oh, don't do that. And she was like, I'm trying really hard. I'm like, please don't do that. Cause I'll squeeze your hand and you'll get hurt. Cause I'm like, I'll grab your knuckles and then just start grinding them against each other. And people were just like, ah! And I'm like, yeah, don't do that.
I have like that fucking chimpanzee grip in my hand. I might have tiny hands, but I can grab things and they're mine forever. Like there's
Yeah,
nothing you can do
you're
about
not
it.
that's this hand. this is my striker, this is my grabber.
Hey, both
I'm
of
like,
the hands are
hey,
like that.
this one, I'm like, you're not
boxing. So
yeah.
I had to develop this hand more. So now they're
Oh.
both fucking strong.
Yeah, man. That's why I'm like, yeah, if I get you with this one, you're not getting out. That shirt's coming off with me. I'm taking it home. I'm like, it's also now a claw. I'm like, it's not, yeah.
That
And that's
that pitbull lockjaw hand.
Yeah, and then all I do is just start pulling you forward, going and just
Right.
this one just.
I don't get enough potassium. This shit's gonna lock up, bro. Like
that is a thing. Anyways, all right, we should shut this down. Thank you, everyone. Please make sure you like and subscribe, because obviously
everybody
we're
left 15
hilarious.
minutes ago.
No, it's fine. Whoever's left. Come over from Twitter to YouTube and subscribe to both of our channels. Otherwise,
subscribe to YouTube, bro.
God won't love you. Okay, it's that simple. But in the meantime, we'll be back on Thursday to talk more business about life and the such. So please make sure you comment. Do you have anything to plug? Are you doing anything Friday?
No, I think I'm gonna take a hiatus from that show for a bit because Jack's doing basketball and stuff like that. So I don't want to exhaust him or myself.
That's fair. All right, Serge, have a good night with your double pants, brother. And we will see you guys in a couple days. Have a good one. Peace out.
Later, sir.